Good evening. We will call the BASWA meeting to order. We'll take care of a few things there, then we will close the BASWA meeting and go into the city council meeting. So, there is an open meeting act. It's posted on the wall over there. We are missing two BASWA members, Juergens and Dorn, three, and Eckhoff. Consent agenda. All items under the consent agenda are considered to be routine by BASWA and will be enacted by one motion. There'll be no separate discussion of these items unless a BASWA member so requests. Item A, approve agenda as submitted. Item B, receive and place on file all notices pertaining to this meeting. Item C, receive and place on file materials having any bearing on this meeting. And item D, approval of the minutes of the regular meeting on December 16th, 2024, as on file in the city clerk's office. Anybody want anything pulled off? Mr. McLean.
I move the items listed on the consent agenda be approved, accepted, and ratified as presented.
Second.
Been moved and seconded. Your vote, please. And that passes 8-0.
Oh, mine's off? Yep. Thanks.
There are no public hearings. We'll move on to resolutions. Resolution number 74, accepting the winning bid by Genesis Contracting Group and executing the notice of award and agreement between the agency and Genesis for Contracting Group for professional services, including the construction of the site entrance for the BASWA South MSW landfill.
I move the resolution number 74 be passed and adopted.
Second.
Been moved and seconded.
So
Discussion.
again, we're working on building the landfill, the new landfill on the south side of the road out there where the current landfill is located. We've, a couple weeks ago, approved the dirt work, if you will, to actually build the cell and the roads and all the other stuff that goes along with that particular process. This is for the site entrance. So this will be the building, the scale house, a customer drop off, those types of things, or we're in this bid package. The reason that our engineers, Burns and Mack, thought about splitting them up is they're two different types of engineers, two different contractors that bid on this type of work. So that's why they thought not to put them together. On this particular bid package, we ended up with 3 bids. Bids ranged from $4,052,000 to $4,799,000. So 3 bids within about $700,000 of each other. The engineer's estimate was $6,141,000, so it came in significantly less than engineer's estimate, which is much better, right, than the first time we opened bids. They came in higher, so this one turned out in our favor. From those bids that we received, the low bid was Genesis Contracting Group of the Lincoln area. Burns and Mack checked into them. Everything checks out with them, and so their recommendations, we move forward with those. You'll notice in the bid packet we put together some alternatives or some alternates out there. Again, after the first set of bids came in, just want to make sure that we had some alternates available to us if we needed to. After the bids came in the way they did, we don't see any reason to accept the alternates to basically downsize some of the construction out there. Everything should still be able to fit within our budget overall. So again, the recommendation tonight is to proceed with Genesis Contracting Group at $4,052,000.
Discussion.
Yes, it is.
Seeing none, your vote, please. That passes 8-0. No ordinances. Is anyone here from the public forum?
Oh, wait, you should have one more resolution.
Oh, yes, sorry. Jumped the gun. Resolution number 75, executing task order number 23 for the engineer-owner agreement between the agency and Burns McDonnell Engineering Company Incorporated for professional services, including sampling, monitoring, and testing services.
I move the resolution number 75 be passed and adopted.
Second.
Again, Burns McDonnell's been our engineer at the landfill now for a couple of years. We have a master agreement, and then we approve task orders as we go along for just different tasks for them to do out there. This one covers some of the items for 2025, the area emissions, groundwater monitoring, and on-call services. The fee is $84,800. Again, it will be billed back based upon the work they do. So if they only do $25,000 of work, that's all they bill us. The groundwater monitoring is a little higher this year because of opening the site on the south side of the road requires some additional testing in order to get kind of a baseline level. Moving forward, it'll be about half the amount of testing that we have to do this year. So Again, we recommend that you approve task order number 23.
Any discussion? If not, your vote, please. And again, that passes 8-0. There are no ordinances. I don't believe there's anybody here for the public forum. No discussions. We'll move to adjourn.
I move the meeting be adjourned at 7:06 PM.
Second.
Your vote, please. And that passes 8-0. All right. Call the city council meeting to order. Please join me for the Pledge of Allegiance.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Everyone here is present except for Councilman Eckhoff. Once again, the Open Meetings Act is posted in the meeting room and accessible to members of the public. We'll move into the consent agenda. All items under the consent agenda are considered to be routine by the City Council and will be enacted by one motion. There will be no separate discussion of these items unless a council member so requests. Item A, approve agenda as submitted. Item B, receive and place on file all notices pertaining to this meeting. Item C, receive and place on file all materials having bearing on this meeting. Item D, approval of the minutes of the regular meeting on December 16th, 2024, as on file at the city clerk's office. Approval of treasurer's report of claims in the amount of $1,212,156.83. Approval of BASWA report of claims in the amount of $150,899.01. Resolution number 7478, executing the agreement renewal to maintenance agreement number 4 with the Nebraska Department of Transportation for the period of January 1st, 2025 to December 31st, 2025, as recommended by the Board of Public Works. Resolution number 7479, appointing Mike McLean as the Beatrice City Council representative on the Engage Board of Directors. Item I, resolution number 7480, executing the agreement with Creative Empire LLC, doing business as Mango Languages for Mango Languages to provide digital language learning services platform for foreign languages, English as a second language, and American Sign Language to the Beatrice Public Library. And item J, resolution number 7481, executing the small municipal and county government enterprise agreement between the city and Environmental Systems Research Institute, Incorporated, to revive ArcGIS services. Anybody want anything pulled off? G?
H.
What's that?
H, please.
H? Anything else?
Didn't you want that off? Oh.
All right, Mr. McLean.
I move the items listed on the consent agenda with the exception of item H be approved, accepted, and ratified as presented.
Second.
Your vote, please. That passes. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Oh, sorry. Now you don't get a vote. All right, Mr. McLean.
I move the item H listed under the consent agenda be approved, accepted, and ratified as presented.
Second.
I just didn't want this to go by without thanking the Engage group, the whole board, and the staff that they have there for putting up with me for the last couple of years. Hopefully I added a little bit to it. I just think it's probably good government. We have turnover there a little bit, and Mike will probably do a better job than me, and plus he paid me a little bit of money to be there. No, don't, God, what did I say? So anyway, I appreciate everything, all the conveniences and everything they gave me to belong to that board for a while, and thank you, Mayor, for appointing me for the last couple of years. I appreciate it.
Okay. All right. Your vote, please. And that passes 7-0. There are no public hearings or bids. Resolutions. We have a resolution number 7482, executing an agreement with Radiant Tech LLC as recommended by the Board of Public Works.
I move that resolution number 7482 be passed and adopted.
Second.
So Radiant Tech is the data center that we have out in the industrial park that is on the south side of Industrial Row. We had a contract with them about a year ago. They've been operational for about 6 months. Things are going well. Just through the course of the operations, though, we found a few things in the contract that both parties wanted to kind of tweak or explain just a little bit more. One of those in there is we had a build-out cost. So the city invested some money to build out to their particular their location. We had an estimated cost of what that would be. Now that we know the final cost, we updated the contract to put that final number in there. They're paying us that build-out cost back over about 3 years, and so it impacts their monthly bill a little bit. Also, one thing in there was they have a rather large customer deposit. They want to make sure they got interest on their deposit, and so we wrote in the agreement again that we'll put into an interest-bearing account. They get credited back the interest that they would earn on that deposit in their bill once a year. So a couple of those kind of things is kind of what we cleaned up in the contract this time.
Any discussion needed? If not, your vote, please. That'll pass 7-0. Resolution number 7483, executing any and all documents necessary to place restrictive covenants upon portions of Froberry Park, Chautauqua Park, the Lincoln Elementary School site, and the Stoddard Elementary School site for the purposes of carrying out the Nebraska Department of Economic Development Rural Community Recovery Program Grant 23-RCRP-039.
I move the resolution number 7483 be passed and adopted.
Second.
So as part of the Rural Community Recovery Program, the state of Nebraska is requiring that we put covenants on the ground that we use to improve with this money. And so those covenants basically state that we have, for the next 20 years, we have to promise that that location will be used for a public feature. So think of a playground, it's about a 20-year life cycle of a playground. And so we've gone kind of back and forth to the state. Some of my questions have been, what if we don't identify a site and later we have additional money? They tell me at that point you could then add that site. I don't know why I can't wait but they want me to do them all fairly quickly. So what we have listed is Froberry Park, Chautauqua Park, Lincoln School site, and Stoddard School. Froberry Park, that one's fairly easy. Chautauqua Park, our communication with the state right now is we obviously don't want to put covenants on the entire Chautauqua Park if I only use money for a small portion of it. The other downside, though, is Chautauqua Park has no legal description.
Really?
No.
Around since day one,
So
Well, it used to be the south edge of town.
probably.
So trying to find that will be interesting, getting something that we can get passed for the Register of Deeds office, but we'll work through that one. So we want to, we're trying to work through how exactly to do that one. Lincoln School site, again, we don't want to put it on all of Lincoln School site. It'll be just where the playground will go. But we won't know that legal definition until we plat it, which won't be for after the deadline the state's kind of set up for us. So again, we're trying to figure out exactly how to work through that one. And then Stoddard School actually is old lot and block. So it is platted, and where the playground at, it kind of fits on a certain lots there. And so that was a little easier. We can at least kind of carve that one back off. If we end up with additional funds, we'll come back to you at some point in the future to maybe look to add it to some additional locations then. But right now, this is where we're at, and we'll start there.
So, will the Lincoln site then be similar to the site plan that we've looked at?
Yes.
Okay, that little area there.
Yes,
All
the
right.
site plan hasn't changed.
Okay.
It'll be Outlot A,
Yep.
but I just can't file anything against Outlot A until it's
Yep.
platted, and that won't be
Because we're
for.
cranking it for 20 years.
Right.
Yep.
Will they let you make changes if you have to? Say Chautauqua Park or even, no?
We're not sure. The representative that we talked to has to go back and talk to their legal counsel, who then, so we play the game of phone tag, and they won't just let us talk straight to the attorney to try to walk through some of those things.
Probably let you do more, but not less,
Yes.
I'll bet.
The only other thing I wanted to say is I support all of these playgrounds, but I'm going to stay on we need a playground on the west side. Cedar site might be the best place. I realize we're not there yet, but I'm going to say that every time I get a chance because I think it's really important.
Isn't there a playground at Hannibal? Or not Hannibal, at the ball park side? Really nice one there.
Yes, there's a very nice playground at Riverside, but you have to cross a highway. if you think about that, we're going to put a playground at Lincoln School. And one of the reasons why is we were concerned with kids crossing a busy road to get to a park. And let me tell you, if you've ever driven out there, that highway's very busy. So I think there should be one on the other side of the street.
Any other discussion? If not, your vote, please. And that passes 7-0. Okay, resolution number 7484, executing the agreement for professional services retaining JEO to develop a grading plan for the detention cell near Ashland Avenue and Sargent Street.
I move the resolution number 7484 be passed and adopted.
Second.
So you often hear that we're an MS4 community. It basically has to do with stormwater. We have to find ways to detain it and then clarify and clean up the water before it enters into the Big Blue River for our drainage basin around here. One of the things we've looked at doing is implementing regional detention cells. So rather than having each individual spot have their own detention cell, make one that's kind of regional that several lots flow into, and then the city would then ultimately own and maintain those regional detention cells. We're looking at doing that out in the industrial park. We've had a couple of studies done in the industrial park to identify where regional detention cells would go. One is on the south end by the biodiesel plant. Obviously, as the bottom or the drainage basin for that is to the south there. The other one has been identified as the pond that currently exists there about Sargent and Ashland Avenue. There's, like I said, there's currently a pond there. That this study will do is help us identify exactly how big that pond needs to be for the drainage of. It'll be the airport and then part of the industrial park there. And then once we have the size that we know that pond needs to be, we'll look to replat the lots around that pond. Because obviously we want to make sure that that pond itself then is retained by the city and then tell us what ground around there we can be sell off to other developers in the future.
Okay, so I appreciate that, the description of that. And I spoke to Tobias before the meeting started for the audience and for the people who watch this at home. But I do have a couple of questions. So this is obviously the pond that already exists up in the north edge of the property. But anybody that's gone to the industrial park, and the vast majority of the people in Beatrice have been there, the industrial park slopes off away from that pond. So that seems to me to be the high point. So, and you did explain that we're going to need another retention pond somewhere down there. So my question is this. So are we just going to need one more down somewhere around the Akuma plant or below that? Or are you going to have another one on the furthest west edge of it? And if you're going to have to add one or two more, why aren't we doing it while we're doing this?
So the study we've had completed on the industrial park shows that we need one more on the south edge there, south of the biodiesel plant, down by the Akuma plant, kind of in that area there. The reason that you haven't gone and done it yet is quite honestly pricing. I mean, you got to spend money to move the dirt. What we talked to with other people as they build out there is that if they need additional dirt, this is a place maybe they can borrow it from and take it. So as they build their addition, they borrow the money from that site. It saves them because they don't have to truck quite as far. It saves us because we don't have to pay to have dirt hauled off. So those are kind of the synergies that we're looking for moving forward. It just hasn't arrived at this point yet.
All right. No. Thank you for the explanation. I don't have any problem with it. I just wanted the explanation.
Any other discussion? If not, your vote, please. That passes 7-0.
It is a bit.
Okay, item D, resolution number 7485, executing the general release, request for reconveyance and the deed of reconveyance along with any and all necessary documents to release and discharge Jason J. Hartig and Jessica L. Hartig as part of the Downtown Revitalization Program and the CDBG Grant 23-DTR-002.
I move the resolution number 7485 be passed and adopted.
Second.
So the next two resolutions go together. So the Hartigs you approved them as part of the 2023 Downtown Revitalization Grant. We went through all the environmental review. We got everything signed. When they then went back to their contractor, and their contractor decided they were not going to proceed with the project. And so they had to go out and find another contractor. When they found another contractor, the price had increased on them. And so they came back and asked if we'd be willing to increase their grant amount. And so to do that, the easiest thing to do was to release the first deed of trust and loan agreement, all that stuff they signed that they never took any money on, and sign a brand new loan agreement, deed of trust, security agreement, all that stuff, which is what the next resolution does. So the first one just releases the existing grant that they obviously didn't take any money on, and then turn around on the second one and grant them back money again for the same project they had originally, which is, I think, a new roof at their location there on, South 4th Street.
Any discussion needed? If not, your vote, please. That passes 7-0. Resolution number 7486, executing the loan agreement, promissory note, personal guarantee, and deed of trust between the City of Beatrice and Jason J. Hartig and Jessica L. Hartig for a direct loan in the amount of $72,198 for the city's CDBG Downtown Revitalization Grant 23-DTR-002.
I move the resolution number 7486 be passed and adopted.
Second.
We just talked about this one. I don't know if anybody has any additional questions on this particular.
What was the first one for?
45,000, somewhere right in there. I don't remember the exact number off the top of my head.
Any more discussion needed by anybody? If not, your vote, please. That passes 7-0. Resolution number 7487, executing the service agreement and any and all other documents necessary to retain Modern HL Collaborative LLC for strategic planning services for the mayor and the city council.
I move the resolution number 7487 be passed and adopted.
Second.
Council's talked about for a while getting together for strategic planning, and so what you have before you is an agreement with Steph Ledbetter with Modern HR Collaborative for her to facilitate and help put on a strategic planning session for the city council. You'll see that her services there are $3,500.
Details.
Any discussion?
Not really.
Not yet. I mean, we're still working on exactly dates, times, locations, those type of things. As that information comes available, we'll make sure we get it out to you.
All right, your vote, please. That passes 7-0. Resolution number 7488, executing the agreement for professional services retaining Mid-State Engineering and testing, conduct 2 borings each at the Paddock Lane and the Lincoln School sites.
I move the resolution number 7488 be passed and adopted.
Second.
With the redevelopment of Paddock and Lincoln, one of the things that they generally do when doing projects like this is you go out and you take a couple boring samples just to make sure you understand what kind of soils you're running into. And so JEO went out, they got some quotes from 3 different contractors for the boring. They came back and recommended that we go with Mid-State. They were the lowest at $4,940, and their timeline was the shortest. And so if you approve it tonight, we'll have them all go out there and do 2 borings at each location, just to give us an idea of exactly what soils we're running into at each site.
Any discussion needed? Okay, your vote, please. That passes 7-0. Ordinances, none. Public forum, first public forum is for the presentation of an item by the general public to the city council for consideration later date. No discussion or action will be taken for the city council this time. Anyone here for the public forum? All right. The last item on the agenda is the end of year review, taking a look back at 2024.
Yeah, we kind of started this last year looking at some of the highlights, if you will, of the previous year, things that we accomplished. First thing we had kind of on the list there is that you, Aaron? Is that you? Okay. All right, well, then I'll stop driving and just let you. The first one we had on the list was 13th Street. Obviously, we got that street constructed and completed out in the country club area. That had been on the list for some time of projects that need to be done, and I think the project turned out really nice. Contractor did an excellent job out there, so we got that one completed. The next one we have is the auditorium. Once we had the fire station, they got fully moved out of there. One of the questions is what happens to that building? And I think you've seen the last year, we've come back and really fully utilized that between the new gym floor with the pickleball courts painted on there, the youth center that's now moved into the basement, the community pantry that has taken over a portion of the basement area as well, the IT offices that we have put into the second floor up there. You have Casa that's moved in as well. So we really started to utilize the entire, that building pretty well there.
The pantry continues to thank all of you guys for that, too. We're using it like crazy.
Working well for them.
Extremely well, and we're going to do about 1,500 more families this year than we've ever done before. So it was a really good timing for the move. So thanks.
Can you drop off donations anytime, Terry?
You can give them to me. Yeah, no, you can drop them off anytime you want.
You have an audience.
We can drop off donations anytime anybody wants to, and the community's been very supportive.
Good.
They just really have.
The next one we have on the list is Big Blue Pet Park improvements. We had some constituents of that location that wanted to see some improvements made, and so they were able to come up with some funding as well. And so we were able to partner together and put some improvements down there, the shelter, the equipment that's out there. So that was a good improvement for the community. Obviously, the big one, right, is the RAISE grant was secured. This is a project that's been working on for at least 10 years, if not longer than that. So we were able to secure that grant for $21.3 million, right? Hard to think that was the easy part now, right? Now the hard work begins of design and construction and all those things that will occur over the next couple of years. But obviously that was a big step forward for the community in 2024. Another one we had was the 33rd and Lincoln Street project. That I think everybody's very happy with the way that turned out. You know, there might have been some pains during construction season, but I think now that it's completed, I think everybody's very happy with how the traffic flows out there and how well it looks. And we're excited to do the next portion of Lincoln Street this upcoming year. But
A lot faster than we thought.
yeah,
That's for sure.
again, contractor did an excellent job on that project as well, and so I think it turned out really good for us. In conjunction with the 33rd and Lincoln Street project, you also have the Lincoln and Paddock redevelopment plans. Originally, we weren't, everybody's kind of shaking their heads what to do with those school sites. I think we've come up with some good answers here at Lincoln and Paddock, and so we continue to kind of work through those redevelopment plans. Nothing much has changed as far as design work. Now we're getting into the nitty-gritty of how deep is the water main, where exactly does the sewer line go, those types of things that aren't real exciting but have to be done. And so we're working through those, and hopefully the next thing you guys see is the plat start rolling through on these sites, which means we're getting closer.
You know, I still get, as much time as we spend on this and as good a job as the press has done talking about this and the open houses we have, I still get asked at least once a week, what are they going to do with the school sites? and you know, and they still assume that the schools own them. You know, what's the school doing with those? Well, the school's not doing anything with them. But I still get asked at least once a week.
As of last week, you acquired title to both of these two.
Yeah.
So we have guys in now removing carpet and those types of things, getting rooms ready. The asbestos survey was supposed to be done this week, and so we're waiting to get that in so then we can go get bids on asbestos removal, so we can get those guys scheduled in there, so then we can turn around and start talking about demolition. And so we're progressing those things forward while we're still working on exactly where the utility layouts will be. But we got some work to go, but it's getting closer. Hannibal Park, we continue to invest in what might be one of our largest economic drivers in our community as far as tourism goes. Again, proud the parking lot improvement that was done out there, the sponsorships that came through, a tip of the cap to Pinnacle Bank stepped up really big, and so that's why it's now Hannibal Park powered by Pinnacle Bank. So we're proud of that one. A couple of things that have been on the list, maybe not quite as exciting, or some drainage studies that were done. Right? The things you just got to do sometimes, but we talked about, we knew there were some drainage issues in both the Belvedere and Tributary 44 areas. We were able to secure some grant funds that have the studies completed to let us know exactly what in those sites need to be done. Now, again, the real work begins of trying to get those projects up and off the ground and completed as we move forward with different other projects and how we can incorporate those.
Yeah, it creates the problem of not being able to say, well, we really don't know what to do.
Right.
Yeah, we'd be doing something, but we really don't know what to do. Well, now we know.
Not a problem until it rains big.
Yeah, it's only a problem if it rains.
that.
Yeah.
City Hall generator. So this again had been on your list of projects for a couple of years. After the fire station again moved out of the city auditorium, we had a generator sitting down there that was unutilized, and so we relocated it up to City Hall to operate City Hall and functions there in the event of a loss of power. So now you have generators at the police station, the fire station, City Hall. So in the event something happens, you can continue your city functions up and running and make sure that we're continuing to be able to help people in a time of need. So
Yeah, huge improvement over the Army surplus generators that we used to have at those different locations.
Yep.
Yep.
The next project we have, it's one that was on there last year because we kind of started the project, but we really finished it in 2024, and that was getting fiber to every home. Any of you that have been on the council for very long know that that has been on the wish list for, again, a decade plus of trying to get something done there, and we were able to partner with Pinpoint, and they built out their fiber network to every location in Beatrice in 2024, and so that was a good improvement for the community and all of our citizens. And another large project that occurred in 24 was our acquisition of the Paddock Kensington building. Again, we were able to partner with Main Street there to acquire that building. It's a large building in the downtown area, and to make sure that it continues to become viable in our community, we were partnered with them, and we're working with Hoppy Development to have them step in and redevelop this project. I look forward to that happening in 2025, but it was a key step forward in 2024 with the city acquiring that building. And so I think the last slide we have here is just a picture, if you will, of the Holiday Lighted Parade and your city employees that were out supporting, showing their community pride in our city during the holiday season. So, but that's kind of 2024 in a nutshell, if you will. A lot of good steps moving forward, and we'll continue them in 2025.
I think we
Thank you for
definitely have
doing
had a
that.
very productive year.
Yep, thanks for doing
Council's
that.
done a good job.
Remind me not to wear that shirt again, will you? It's on the first page.
All right. I guess the other thing that I think we don't need to necessarily see on the review, but we do see it every year, is the efficiency of our street and our city employees when we get big snows. I know that I've lived in several other communities, and I think, again, thank Jason Moore and all the people that sacrificed their Sunday and will be sacrificing their time at 11 p.m. tonight to really do a nice job on our streets. So I just can't thank them enough, because it seems, again, like something little, but it's important. Even when they fill my driveway with snow, I still smile. I'll say it was easier to get rid of that snow because I was watching the Chiefs game and I got tired of seeing it. So I went out and got rid of the rest of the snow. But it is a nice feature that we do have for a small community when it does snow. So, any other discussion needed? If not, we'll have a regular city council meeting on January 20th, 2025 at 7 p.m. right here. We will have a work session on January 20th, 2025 at 6 p.m. in this building as well. So we'll see everybody here at 6 p.m. on the 20th. Mr. McLean.
I move the meeting be adjourned at 7:34 p.m.
Second.
Your vote, please. And that passes 7-0. Thank you. Have a good night. Stay warm.